It's the lazy theologian, the clumsiest poet stumbling through the poplar grove and doesn't even notice.
When I got Twitter, I got banned 2-1 for what? Anyways, keep getting sidetracked. I heard Twitter is so harsh on artists and upcoming artists. Like if there are any minor details that are wrong, that they'll go crazy on them. I know I can assume the video's point is about somebody being accused of AI art, but we'll see. Let me funny to see about IDK. They said reason was because they thought I was a robot. They thought you were a bot. Yeah. I also heard there's a ton of bots on Twitter. Again, I don't use Twitter.
And everybody is
have one, but I don't use
right now. You can see this post was only made a few days ago, and it's gotten 176,000 likes and 8 million views. So this kind of blew up. And just before we dive into this issue, I shouldn't have to say this, but please don't send hate to anybody involved in this video. Let's all be decent human beings. So let's first take a look at the original post calling out the AI art. It says, can't unsee it, and these are all the points that kind of make this person suspicious that this piece might have been made from AI. Now, full disclaimer, I have no idea whether or not this artist actually used AI in their work, so just take my word with a grain of salt. I'm going to approach it from the standpoint of a bystander. Now, a lot of these points here that are shown on this image are just simple mistakes that an artist could actually make. For example, the shadow on the knees, I understand it looks kind of weird, but again, that's a mistake that an artist could make. Push.
Yeah, absolutely. What a place to pause. I'm sorry. Actually, not very sorry. Very common. I'm not an expert on art. I just got back into art this year, but I do know some things. And very common mistake. You could be shading and create this dip here. You could create that dip there because you recognize the knee. But yeah, common mistakes. Yeah, I'd have to agree.
There's more on this.
Ooh, that's weird right there. Let me show it right up here. If you see my cursor, actually no, sorry for the pause. I'm not. This right here is a little suspicious because when you're making, there's kind of, I don't want to categorize, but there are different kinds of artists in their approach to things. If you are drawing from reference, it's very weird. Actually, no, it's weird in general to do it this way because if you're drawing it from a construction, in other words, you drew the form first, then you would have these hips together. You get what I mean? These lines would be connected no matter what. And even if you were tracing, these lines would be together no matter what. It wouldn't cut off this way, like her right hip, or from our perspective, the left hip would be. It would be weird that this is cut off. You see that? So that is very, very suspicious because I was trying to think and give what's the word, leniency, because maybe you're tracing, maybe you are drawing the skirt first, but then this cut off. Even if you're drawing the skirt first, you would have drawn this first. Yeah, that's just weird. Maybe it is AI.
What do you mean by that, you pervert? Now, here it says long on the forearms. First of all, the forearm is not long at all. Second of all, even if it was actually long on the forearms, this is a mistake that anybody
That's annoying. I hate when artists nitpick. Again, I'm not claiming to be an expert. I draw for fun, and if people fuck with my shit, they fuck with my shit. It's kind of like, have you guys ever seen videos or news about people critiquing anime? Like they freeze frame on an anime and it looks ugly. Well, to me, they have no understanding of art when they critique things like that. It's a lot of art is subjective, and you can't say otherwise. But I think a lot of art, that's one end. Art is subjective, but on the other end, art is very expressive, in the sense that Justice for Naruto. Yes, dude. Oh my God. I love you, bro. Yes. That's exactly what I was referencing. I fucking loved the Naruto versus Pain. Now, mind you, I agree that when Pain runs like a Looney Tune character was a little out of place, but did it take away my hype for the fight? No. Or the squashing stuff? No, like it's up to interpretation and your experience. It's called squash and squish, is where, for example, when you're doing high speed, when you're drawing a high speed character, you basically essentially draw it in a way where the character looks pulled to go from point A to point B. So you have them here, they squash, they get pulled. All right, my hands aren't in screen. They're point A, they're squashed, they get pulled to point B, and then it catches up to point B. So it's like you kind of thing. That's one way. So when you see characters and you freeze frame during the squash, of course it's going to look ugly, but it's about watching in real time. In the same way that this doesn't look like a fucking hand. Like, see, my hand is blurring because it's moving fast. Our eyes see at about 30 frames per second. But how do you draw that in real time? Do I draw my hand here? No, you draw the hand from here to here, and you draw the blur motion to get this effect in real life. You kind of missed it, but I'm talking about animation and art. But basically, somebody was accused. Quick context for you, Cloud, who just got back in. This guy is reviewing the fact that somebody was accused of AI art, which I think might have some validity to the accusation. But I think it's stupid. No ribs? Yeah, because you want to draw I don't. You want to draw a girl that has like a cinched waist. I'm not thinking the anatomical things. Let me ask you guys from an honest opinion. From first view, outside of the AI stuff, is she hot? Yes. And that's, you know what? All that matters. No one gives a fuck that perhaps this arm is a little longer than this arm, but if they're drawing in perspective and this arm is closer, then of course it's going to be a little bit longer. And I think, what, are you fucking measuring it? No, I see it. I see hot girl. And if I look closer, maybe there are some mistakes, but that's not the point. Like, does it make it better that is a little anatomic? No, that's more of kind of behind the scenes and a little appreciation to detail. But it really, at the end of the day, it's, does the audience see it and think it's good? It's only the artist who's like, oh, the arm is a little too long. Look, if you put them side by side, who's doing that? Idiots and snobs.
Okay, you cannot expect every artist to be perfect. And a question mark next to the hand, yeah, I agree. Looks a little bit weird, but again, this could be a stylistic choice. This other hand here, again, looks to me like a stylistic choice. And the ankle being broken, I don't think it's broken. I think, again, that's
it looks all fine to me.
Now, some things that are a little bit weird is
like
this random artifact on the front of the skirt. Now, obviously, some ankle being...
Going back to the feet. Does that look like a foot to you? Did you question that that's a foot? No. Then if you didn't, and it didn't register to your mind the moment you looked at it as something else, then it achieved its job. That's all that matters.
Broken, I don't think it's broken. I think, again, that's a stylistic choice. Now, some things that are a little bit weird is this random artifact on the front of the skirt. Now, obviously, we can't tell what it is because we're working with like 2 pixels. And also this hip right here that doesn't connect anatomically correctly to the body. And artifacts like those tend that doesn't connect.
Okay, I have to pause here. Thumbnail, my friends. Okay, this, what do you call them? Artifact? I think, again, I'm trying to be lenient and fair, is, it's not even good if I touch around here. This could happen because maybe, I don't know, maybe they're using Procreate. I'm assuming, maybe let's say you drew the skirt first and you didn't, and you were drawing like free lines, and then you added color in post, and you didn't draw the black line here to fill it, so you drew with this color and this color to make the fill, and then you have this blur or this cut off between the lines. It's possible. That's possible. This is the biggest offender and weird, that it would be cut off at all from this. Because if you drew the hips at all and then drew the skirt on top of it, then these would be connected. If you draw the skirt first and drew the legs underneath it, then sure. But then why does this line up with this, then this lines up with that? That doesn't make sense at all. Okay, let's get off this frame.
Anatomically correctly to the body. And artifacts like those tend to be mistakes that an AI might actually make. But again, we can never know for sure. In today's day and age with the capabilities of AI, unless you get some sort of confirmation from the original artist about whether or not they actually used AI, you can never know for sure. So making a call out post like this is the first issue. Essentially what this person did was they had a little bit of a suspicion. So like any other sane person, they decided to go in guns blazing, dropping bombs in an attempt to destroy this artist's career. And if you live in a free society, you should probably know that we should never just assume somebody is guilty off of suspicion alone. So callouts like this, no matter how convincing, I feel like are just done in bad taste. This new AI callout stuff is just another manifestation of the cancer that is cancel culture. This absolutely idiotic.
While I'm not a fan of cancel culture, at least from what I saw, I'm not on Twitter, so I didn't see the actual description. But if an artist, for example, if I was posting to, you guys have seen my art and seen my sticker drawings and things like that. Also go check out my Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm going to make a whole line of Yu-Gi-Oh! Done in a tarot style. But yeah, anyways, the point is, let me make sure of my words. I'm fine. I think it's okay to call people out on that. Because I think it's also the artist's due diligence to be transparent about the process. If, let's say, this artist did, let's go both ways, right? If this artist didn't use AI, then they could easily just show their process and show that they could do it and show a time lapse or something of them doing a similar thing. And then it would be done. Okay, you're an actually good artist. You that wasn't AI. I'm sorry. And then that person looks like an idiot for calling you out. On the flip side, if it was AI art, then the person was right for their suspicions. But the fact that you didn't put the fact that this is AI and wasn't done by you shows that you were trying to shows some sort of, I don't want to say malicious, but sus intent, that you were trying to pass off this as your own original work, but used AI. You get what I'm saying? So I don't think it's wrong to call out. And I think anytime there is on the internet, people will pull out their pitchforks, and I think that just comes with the territory. So I don't think it's as disgusting to call people out or be like AI. If somebody called out any of my art for being AI, I would just show them my Procreate and show my frames, show them my layers, and show like a time lapse or put out a video that shows the time lapse. So there you go, idiot. And clearly there are probably mistakes in my art that makes it very clear that I did it.
Everybody is guilty until proven innocent. Now, just to form a more mature opinion, I decided to actually look into this a little bit deeper to see what more information I can get on the
also
artists who deleted their account. And apparently they were Japanese. So in their final
week, if you deleted your account, okay, I'll get to that in a second. But if someone called me out for doing AI art, I could just show the receipts, right? I don't think it's because what if the person called them out and they were right, then they were just right, and they were an AI, someone using AI for art and didn't do it themselves, and were trying to pass it off as original artwork, not done by themselves and authentically by themselves and not by AI. So, but if the person calling them out was wrong, then they could just show the receipts. It's as simple as that. So I don't see why this is like, oh, it's a bad thing to call people out for doing art. Well, because clearly, if let's say it was AI art, that means they are trying to deceive people into believing that it was done by them. So if you want to show your honesty, then then the key to honesty is transparency and just show your process. It's that simple. It's not that big a deal. If you delete your account, I think that shows even more to the fact that they're guilty. So, nice guy in the video, but I disagree with you. If somebody called me out for AI art, I just show the receipts, and now you're the idiot. But if you delete your account when you're being accused, I think that means you're running away because there's something to run away from, which is accountability. So in a way, the person's not wrong. Now, is hate and I don't know, people hating on the internet wrong? Who knows? Because it's just part of the territory. People will hate wherever they go. All right, who trying to hop on Smash? In a bit. And give me a sec. I think maybe after this, I'm down to hop on.
Final post, they said, over the past 3 years, I finished drawing everything that I have in mind about Kanroji Mitsuri. It was a great honor to have so many people come and see it. Please forgive me for having kept silent up until now. I hope to meet you all.
And if you delete your account, not you, I hate your cloud now. And if you delete your account, if you're in the right and you weren't using AI art, then you're weak and you're a loser, and who cares? You know, if you can't take criticism, then go away. And that's your fault. Stand on your art, stand on your work, and show the receipts, and then you'll be the one who's right. But if you delete it because everybody's hating on you, maybe you were doing AI art. That proves more to me that you were than not.
Again, as an artist, the account will be deleted at 7 p.m., which is honestly kind of sad. Based on this message,
No, it's not
this
sad.
was obviously just somebody
Why are
who
you
was a
sad
big fan
about
of this
weak people?
character and wanted to share their work of this character. And the phrase, please forgive me for having kept silent up until now, seems to imply to me that this person was definitely affected in some way by the cancel culture that was brought upon them by the
If you are affected by people's opinions on the internet, then you are a loser. Unless there are actual physical threats. That's just my opinion. I could get hate for that. Then come at me and talk to me on stream.
person who made the call out post. So all around, this is just an L situation. The person who made the call out now is facing serious backlash, and this artist was bullied off the platform. Now, the person who made the call out has made an apology. I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I took the post down. The note said, this user made a big mistake confusing a real artist with AI, and ended it with the artist being bullied and closing their account, which is, again, very, very sad. Just a horrible situation to be in. The person who made the call out post was only 23, so not a fully developed brain. I can understand that.
I am sick. I am so sick and tired of people saying they were just 23 and not a fully developed. Do you hear that, you guys? Since when is 20? I hate how people are babying everybody. Bro is a whole Thank you. Oh my god. I love the chat culture that is being developed here. It's so amazing that people have brains here. People will call a 25-year-old a baby, right? I only hear that from my Lolas and Lolos calling 30-year-olds a child. Why? Because you're basically their children. You are their children. That's fine. Not other grown-ass adults calling 25-year-olds, oh, they're basically a kid. No, they're fucking not. Me win big brain. No, they're fucking not. They are adults. What are you talking about? At 18, you can be tried as an adult. At 18, you can smoke? I don't know. But at 18, you are a responsible adult. Sure, your brain is, I hate this whole thing about your brain isn't fully developed. Because I'm 30 right now. I don't think there's a massive difference between when I was 30 and 25. I think I've been just as smart and intelligent and big-brained as I was 5 years ago. Okay, joke aside, but you get there's a point in there. But to be honest, as a 24-year-old, I think this is when we start stagnating. Yeah, exactly. I think pretty much. I think there's also a lot of stats that the brain, like, people emphasize the wrong part. Sure, I've heard also studies the brain continues to develop until 30, but you're acting as if, because here's a couple factors. Is the brain's development is the most important when you're a child. Why do you think all of fucking therapy, which is what I've talked about in the past, is all about? And how did that make you feel? Does that remind you of anything from your childhood? Why? Why do they say that shit? Is because everything is developed pretty much at childhood. Your brain develops the most rapidly in terms of progression when you are an infant, when you're in adolescence. That's why fucking freshman year feels so much longer and feels so much more impactful to you, the difference between freshman year and sophomore year versus when you're in high school versus freshman year and junior year in college. It feels like when you are in high school, time is moving almost so slow, and you were in sophomore year for the longest ass time. But then when you get into college, it's like the blink of an eye, and college is gone. Why? Because your brain is I don't want to say slowing down, but the progression between those age ranges are so much. There's a big gap between them. That's why a senior in high school going for a freshman in high school is a little bit weird, even though they're in similar age range, because that's why seniors when you're a freshman feel so much older, whereas seniors in college when you're a freshman in college doesn't feel too much big of a gap. That's why you'll even see people who are in college dating graduate students, because you guys are pretty much towards the range of adults. People are acting like this gaps is the same from adolescence and childhood to adulthood. The difference, the gap between a 22-year-old and a 30-year-old isn't that much besides experience. That is it. In terms of brain development, it's not that big of a gap. And people need to stop acting, oh, it's not a fault the brain. Is my brain developed now because I'm 30? Idiot? No, I've called people dumbasses and idiots since I was 20. Or probably actually much earlier than that. But yeah, my brain is pretty much the same. Okay? Let's not justify actions and things of people just because they're 23. That's a grown-ass adult. And we need to stop treating grown-ass adults as if they're kids. They can get a job. They can get an apartment. They can live on their own. They can hurt people. They can do whatever the fuck they want because they're an adult. And they can be responsible for their actions. So shut the hell up.
The person has since made an apology.
Again, nothing to this guy.
Address the Japanese artist.
Nothing to this guy. Good guy. I highly disagree with you. Not gonna lie, I was kind of a dumbass at 18, 19 though. But that 18, 19 is pretty much high school though. You get what I'm saying though? I was a dumbass at 18. I stopped being, well, I think I am still kind of a dumbass, or a stupid ass. But I felt less of a dumbass at the, hello. Oh, you already parked?
There's a spot over there.
Oh, nice. My wife is home. Say hello, chat. Speaking of which, my wife is 25. Do you feel like your brain is fully developed? No. Do you feel like an adult though? No. Okay. She wasn't a good example of that. that didn't go the way I thought. But
Like an adult, isn't I'm like, what?
no, but my point is, people are saying like, oh, they're 23, not a fully developed brain, in implying that they're not responsible for their actions, or implying that like they're a kid. You know, you get what I'm saying? Like, yes, insane question to get as you walk the door. Don't worry, I do that to her all the time. She's not surprised. You get what I'm saying? I know everyone here gets what I'm saying. But again, I'm not hating on this guy. I think he's a well-meaned guy. I just highly disagree with you. And I don't like that ideology that we should be treating grown adults as kids.
I am the biggest idiot.
As kids.
I'm so sorry for making such a stupid
It's
claim
like
with no
child
basis.
speak.
I am ashamed that I ruined something you obviously love. What you made is amazing. I say again, I am so sorry. Best of luck. And they've also made a bunch of apology drawings for the artist. I incorrectly accused an artist of using AI with a scathing, terrible draw over of their Mitsuri art. The account closed shortly after. Now, personally, I wanted to do my research.
Six is more than enough.
This person decided to make an AI call out in the first place, and why everyone else
That becomes
was so
6
convinced that it was not AI.
reasonable
So
people.
I did my research.
Let's make
I
that
Googled
10
the
reasonable
original
people.
artist, and this was the only image that would come up that shows something very, very similar to what I saw of this artist's work. Now, if I just zoom in here,
that's the
personally,
artist
I do
who
not
was-
see anything that jumps out at me that screams this
deleted
was
their
made by
account?
AI. I would be very convinced that this was actually a drawing and that this person is actually an artist who does draw. But what's interesting to me is I then came across this post. You know what's extra funny? I decided to look into the art because the post looked familiar to me. Turns out that was the whip. Hold up. What are you talking about? As you can see in this finished product, a lot of those mistakes have been fixed up. Always do research, Twitter users, and that's exactly what I'm doing. All right, so this is where things get
It's all
a little
good,
bit
bro.
fun.
I
Okay,
think
take a
that's
look at this piece right
that
here.
is the
All right,
average.
beautiful piece. It does fix the mistakes, right? The hand seems to be
We all
better.
growing.
The hips now connect to the right point.
Oh
the
wait,
neck, the
so
shoulders,
I missed it for a
everything.
sec. So this is somebody who fixed the alleged AI art. Okay. I hope he shows side by side.
Thing is now connected. Again, full disclaimer.
Yeah, connected
I don't know
hip.
If this person who posted this is just pulling
Connected
this out
hip,
of their butt,
yeah.
or if this is actually from the artist. So take everything with a big grain of salt, okay? If you compare this piece to what was supposed to be the sketch,
There we go.
From
Thank
an
you,
artist's
thank you, bro.
perspective,
What's your name?
this-
Sam. Thank you, Sam. I'm curious what you guys think. My opinion is, even with the mistakes, as art, this is more superior to this. And I'll explain why, but I want to hear your guys' raw opinion first. I personally like this a lot. If Matt, for example, a lot of art, me and Matt pass back and forth to each other, and I show my wife back and forth to each other, just to get like first impressions. If I were to see these two artworks and I was to be asked, which should I run with? Even with the mistakes, I would say maybe fix this damn hip. But I like this art better, much better, in fact, than this art. And I'll tell you why in a second. But what do you guys think? The one on the right or the one on the left? Get a good look for it. And I'm curious if you know why I would say that. I think this is so much better than the fixed version. Let's see what he has to say about it. Or well, let me get my thoughts first. Let's see if I have no opinion on this. I'm a figment of your imagination. No, but just on first glance, which one do you like better? Is what I'm saying. Which one looks cooler to you? The one on the right or the one on the left? Forget what this person said is the mistakes. The one on the left is what is supposed to have fixed the mistakes. The one on the right is the wrong version. But from a visual standpoint, I like this better. The one on the right, exactly. Thank you. That's Sigma. The one on the right looks more vibrant. Right? Yeah. It's just your own opinion, right? But I'd imagine why a lot of people, including myself, would like this a lot more. And here's my reasons why. This feels pulled straight from the anime, which isn't wrong, but I think it makes it corny. It doesn't make it your own, and doesn't feel, almost in a way, doesn't feel authentic. When you're making art, and this is just kind of, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not a seasoned artist. I don't have, I'm starting to we're getting sales, but and we're starting our stickers, but just from my own opinion, when it comes to designing art and putting your artwork out there, I think it's always important to make a distinction from the original, because this feels straight out of the damn anime. That I wouldn't be surprised if you just pulled a PNG out of it. That makes it feel almost dated, or oh yeah, what do you mean stickers? You've seen them. They're coming out, and yeah. Weren't you hitting me up about that? Perhaps make a I said I was down. Just DM me about it, and I'll get back to you. I'm currently helping Blues with his as well. He asked me to make a stick for him. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. This on here fix all those minor details, but it doesn't look special, in the sense that it doesn't feel done by somebody and had a vision to it. You get what I mean? It does fix the mistakes, but this is, I like what Tenebre said, is more vibrant. It is even more expressive even though I can't really tell, and nor do I want to spend the time to measure these arms. whether this arm is a little longer than this one, it feels way more expressive. Like, this feels like a cutesy scene from the anime where two friends are talking to each other. This one feels like she could be in a field somewhere frolicking. I don't know. I like the shading. It feels different from the anime. It feels unique. It feels like if someone handed me this versus this, I could just pull a PNG off of the anime. This feels like somebody did this, and it feels more expressive. Like the poses here, you have the open arms here into the crossed legs here. Feels more feminine. Feels more again more expressive. This feels just like hee hee. If you get what I mean, just off uh, first impressions. This is why I hate art snobs, because they'll look at these details and don't realize the average person doesn't give a fuck, nor do I give a fuck. Like, this is straight from the anime, and cool, you could replicate the anime. That's great and all, but when you're making art from something like Pokemon and stuff, you kind of want to see it reimagined in a way that's recognizable, but in a way that feels like only this artist can do that, or this artist showed their vision of it. If you understand what I'm saying. Like, if you want a PNG, just take a screenshot yourself.
And way more advanced flow. Personally, if I saw this, I would assume that an artist with a lot of experience has made this piece.
Yeah, it's probably AI.
With something like this, even though, yes, it corrects all of them.
I think he's agreeing with me.
It still appears to me
Let's
like
go.
the shape language and the flow and the pose of the character just comes from an artist with a little bit less experience. And this person actually did a little bit more digging like me as well. And again, I am not sure if this is actually from the original artist or if this is just made by somebody else. So take all of this with a huge grain of salt. I don't even know if this is from the same artist, but looking at a piece like this, the rendering on the iris and the rendering on the pupil, as well as the smudging out of the highlight, these are just not marks that an artist would normally make. And even here on the corner of the eye, you can see how it flares out into some of these elements that don't seem to make as much sense. Look at how the eyelash pushes up the shape of the double eyelids. So again, there's a lot of elements here that would suggest to me that this is a little bit sus. And then if you look at the hair here, again, the rendering
very
here
sus.
just screams AI. It's smudged, it's smooth, it's got this very uncanny look to it. But still, I personally don't know where this person got these images from, and I also just personally cannot confirm or deny that they're
I
made
think
with
it's AI. I would say with a 85% certainty the other person's art was AI.
Make up your own mind.
Still,
Personally,
look
I feel
better
like
than
if
this.
These pieces did actually belong to that artist, then they might have used AI as a part of their process to come up with poses and ideas, but I'm quite sure that they actually drew. They were actually an artist as well.
Oh, that's another example. I think when you do the whole art, I think that's the best form to get authenticity and efficiency. Is I don't have any AI programs, but I think that would be very useful to create an AI model of like a character and then draw using that character for expressions. It's kind of like, and we do it anyways. Some artists, and which I've thought about getting something like that, they have that anatomical model and they'll put it in certain shapes so that you have a reference to draw from when you want to do perspective shots or perspective drawings, and you don't want to spend the time doing the thought process of the dynamic poses and like, oh well, if I'm making the foot close to the face, that means this disappears, and you don't want to go through that. So I think AI could be really useful, and I don't see a problem with using it for reference. But doing the finishing work,
this is the issue here. Look,
I think
even
that
after all this,
unless it's
I
like
still can't be 100%
in
sure
post,
whether this person did use
I think
AI
that's
or
a
not,
little
and nobody
cheating.
can be. But all of that, while very confusing, is besides the point. It doesn't matter what an artist chooses to do. If this person chooses to use AI to make their work, to come up with ideas, that might go against you and my values, but that's their choice. Just because they might have chosen to do this thing that we disagree with doesn't give any of us the permission to go out there and call them out and harass them off of the platform. I really like this message personally.
Yeah, but I think from what I saw, the person just put a post calling out, as you said yourself, whether this is AI or not. Just raised questions. So you have all the right to do that. I can call out whoever I want. If I think somebody's, I mean, if you think somebody's fake, for example, if you guys suspected me of fake gaming or doing fake art, you have all the right to call me out. What? And people have the right to hate. It's like, I think people don't have an understanding of social, not him. Oh, I don't want to bring him specifically. I'm just talking about the intellectual points of this. But I don't think people realize when we talk about the terms platforms, when we talk about social media, there's a reason why we call them a platform, right? It's a platform in the same sense as a podium is a platform. Now, again, as the lazy theologian, as a ex-pastor, I too have gotten on platforms. You know what everybody has the right to do is to think I'm boring and to call me boring after a sermon, or call me or say they disagreed with what I had to say, or come up and talk to me and give me their opinions. I'm not going to, in real life, if you were a public speaker, if you talked in front of an audience, then yes, everybody has the right to give their opinions about what you just said because they just spent their time listening to you. Now, this kind of gets lost because we think we have the shield of online, but the reason why we call it a social media platform is because in the same way as a podium and on a stage, you get up there and you put yourself out there to an even bigger audience than if you had to go through the effort of doing it in person. It's more scary in person. Why? Because you have immediate accountability. You immediately hear and see the faces that people think if you're losing the people, so to speak, and saying something that people don't have interest in, people think is boring or completely disagreeing with you, and realize you're not hitting your right audience. That's real life, okay? It's just because it's the internet doesn't mean you don't get the same similar treatment. If anything, it's kind of higher risk, high reward, and people need to understand that more. In person, you kind of have to build up an audience. For example, in a church, there's a kind of built audience. If I know I'm talking to conservatives, which my church was a conservative church, I'm not going to say things that are going to go off the rails crazy, and I have to be aware of my audience. I have to talk in a way, if I'm going to say something, in a way that's understandable to them and something that is palatable to them. Online, it's kind of a mixed bag. You're on a platform in the same way as a podium, but you have a bigger audience than even in person. In a church, you're probably talking to me. Our church consisted of 200 members, right? You're talking to, depending on the attendance that day, you could be talking from 80 to 300 people. Whereas online, you could be talking from one viewer, and maybe people, if you post on YouTube, from one person to thousands. That's a privilege that you would never get in person to see your stuff. But that's a privilege of the internet, that we have a bigger platform to talk to and to get our stuff out there and to show our stuff and to say and to spread a message. Oh, you know what comes with having that same amount of reach? You have the same amount of ability for criticism. So I don't like this people saying that, oh, you have no right to hate and to criticize people. Well, we get criticism. Public speakers get criticism all the time, and you don't get to be shielded from that. I think it just comes with the territory, and that's why it's called the public platform. If you don't want the reach of having a public platform, make a private platform of people who will already agree with you, instead of going onto a public platform because I think it's just you want your cake and eat it too. You want your art and you want your opinions to be heard by thousands. You just want everyone to like it. I don't think that's how it works. If you want to put out your stuff to thousands, you have to also be willing to hear the criticism from thousands. That's what I think, and I think I'm right. If you're going to be on social media at all, you get what I'm saying? Exactly. And thank you. If you're going to if you want the advantage of that social media brings to reach to thousands, you can't be surprised and cry about it and turtle up and call it bullying when people just start criticizing and calling you out. In the same way, if someone called me out for I don't know what's equivalent in person. If someone's criticized me of stealing sermons, then I'm going to have to be accountable for that and address it because the audience is now questioning and suspecting me for stealing sermons. It happens in real life. Why doesn't it happen online? In the same way with my edits. Yeah, it's, for example, an edit, like things on YouTube or making great power, great person. Exactly. People don't realize how we have had internet for so long, well, kind of relatively long, that we don't realize how privileged we are with something like the internet. We can get information out faster and more accessible than ever before, yet we're trying to act like it doesn't scale the responsibility with that same reach. And I think people, again, fully developed brains, people need to start growing up. Is like, I'm on here, like, this is why I like live. I like I said, I'm pretty new live streamer, but I've come to really enjoy it because I'm not in a sermon where I prepared a message. Is I can just say my raw thoughts, and if anyone wants, if you know, when the day comes, I'm not being like, oh my god, people bullying me. Like when the day comes when people criticize me, I want to talk to them. Those are the people I'm most excited to talk about, because most people on the internet aren't ready for some conflict or for confrontation or a real in time conversation because they haven't developed the skills. Well, I have, and I welcome it, and you know, I'd be very excited when that day comes.
Even if it was AI,
Even when
this
people
was
criticize
unnecessary.
me just
It's
for
already
playing
hard enough
Sora,
being an
I'll make
artist, we don't
points
need
and
to
then they
give
immediately
people
disappear.
threats. The people who are personally offended over AI art seriously need to lighten up. I'm fine with people who are against it and understand why, but it shouldn't lead to bullying or being bothersome to people, especially if you
No, be
can't
bothersome.
tell. Just ask and encourage
People are
them to
weak these
draw
days.
if you actually care. This person
I was about to say, yeah, go bully them. And I kind of do mean that. If you think someone is trying to deceive you, go ahead and bully. You can do whatever you want. I'm not saying it's okay to bully. I'm just saying, what am I saying? I am not saying it's okay to bully. But again, if you it's in the semantics. If you consider calling somebody out for trying to pass off AI art as their own authentic hard worked art, then call them out. I don't consider that bullying. I think that's exactly what it is. It's a call out. And if people are saying fraud or fake, if you call that bullying, you are a child. Maybe you don't have a developed brain. Sort of criticism always fries me because it always boils down to yeah, they just generalize them all as DLC. And like Plant is in the yeah, exactly. Technically, Plant is DLC too. It's okay to bully, just don't say. Oh yeah. I think if it reaches that point, that's not even bullying. That's life threats. You get what I'm saying? I think there's which brings in another discussion. When does it become bullying? Like what's criticism? Because there's constructive criticism. There's just pure and beautiful, just not constructive at all, but just pure criticism, which I think everyone has the right to criticize. Because you don't have the right to make me like you, or like what you've done. You don't, just because I put myself out there. Grow up. You sometimes put yourself out there. No, you don't have the right to have it your way, and always be liked, and always have everybody be supportive and appreciative. You have to. If people didn't like what I did, then I would change and I would make additions. Call them what is that? I've heard that. It is devastating. I've heard that term before. I don't know what it means. But yeah, but the KYS, yeah, that is when it becomes that is more life threatening than bullying. But then what constitutes as bullying? I think in the online world, unless I don't know, this is just raw off the cuff thought. I think in person, bullying is when it is consistent and constant for things that don't have that are for things that are unnecessary. And maybe I could fix that wording. But if, for example, if you're constantly being negative to a kid is being constantly negative to a kid or excluding them or Xing them out, that is awful. That is bullying because now you are preventing the kid from even living their own life. I don't think the internet has the ability to prevent people to live their own life unless you are somehow blocking them from social media, unless you are somehow blocking them from using their own account, unless you are you get what I'm saying? Because it's online, you just kind of have to face the music. You have to come to Jesus. You have to just wake up to that. This is the territory. Is life threatening? That's different than when we're talking about just straight bullying. Because telling someone go KYS is just awful and isn't even bullying anymore. That is malicious, and that is a terrible thing to say to anyone. Well, not. But anyways.
Person said, usually I ask the AI to draw these character concepts and designs for my novel, then I do pixel art or wait until I hire an artist or let people do art of something very, very similar to the characters. So whether you and I agree with it or not, there are a lot of artists out there who actually use AI in their workflow. So they come up with something like this, which is AI generated. Again, if you just saw this, how would you know? Literally, how would you know? Now, since the original artist was a Japanese artist, they obviously live in an Asian culture. And Asian cultures are very, very high standard, very perfectionist. So they might have felt trapped in a way. They might have genuinely felt the need to use AI to come up with ideas so that their drawings don't look bad. And that's just an unfortunate
Honestly, I would do, for example, in there's a lot of animation ideas I have, but call me old, but there's a lot of all my ideas I know because of my experience. I would want to hand draw all my animations, but I also recognize how slow that is and how time consuming that is. And I personally would use an AI model and then draw over it, kind of like the Spider-Verse is. I would use, for example, if I'm making a Sonic animation or if I'm making a Pokemon animation, it would be much faster and effective for me to have a model and map out the frames and how I want to do the scenes and things like that, and then draw on top of it in my own art style. That cuts so much time while it's still being me, and you're basically using the AI as just reference. And I've seen a lot of people start doing that, is where they do the artwork, but the reference and modeling and all that stuff is all done, computer generated. It's like an anime. I don't mind when anime uses CGI properly. I do mind when it straight up looks like CGI and kind of cheapens the thing. But Spider-Verse, for example, is all CGI, but it looks great because they go through the effort of drawing on top of it, which shows the extra work done, but still have you're basically using AI or CGI as a modeling tool, so that it's in a way easier for the artist to do these dynamic scenes without having to draw the reference lines and go through the ground up of structuring a model every time you're changing the pose.
And that's why a lot of artists in Asia have a really tough time. Again, a few points here, okay? Number one, we simply cannot know what is real and what is not. So if you see something that makes you feel a little bit suspect, you can just click not interested on this post, and the algorithm will show you less of that. You don't have to see it. And if you
yeah, but I also I don't like, is the term here virtue signaling, telling people what is moral and not. I don't like that. Especially with social media or something like that. Sure, you could just click not interested, but there is also a comment section, and why can't I say, does this look like AI? I think this might be AI, guys. Hey, something's funny here. Something's odd. I think this isn't their art. I think they did this in AI. Why can't you do that? And am I going to be called a bullier for doing that? No, if the artist, wants to stand on their ground and be mature, then show the receipts. If you think I'm wrong, then I'd say, damn, I was wrong. I'm sorry. but he's saying you should just you are telling me what to do. If I want to say not interested or comment with a call out, I have all the right to do either or. And that's the rules of social media. There's things that social media has laid out which is wrong, and as long as you're not doing that, it's not wrong in accordance with social media. For example, I got banned on TikTok for saying a certain word. I know I will never say that word on TikTok again. And it wasn't even a bad context, but against the point. But yeah, that's the rules of TikTok, and is different than the rules of Twitch. And I have to, I need, what did, I think I could say it here, right? It's a GAY. I said that was GAY. And then I immediately got banned. That was my first experience, and I'm more learned now. But yeah. But you see what I'm saying is the you sir don't dictate what I get to do and what others get to do. If I put out my art on Instagram or TikTok and people say it's shit, they have all the right to say it's shit. I'm not go, oh, I'm being bullied. People are negative. People don't like your shit. In real life, if you were on the street and people just walked by, oh, they're all bullying me because no one's buying. Well, it's the same. It's the same thing.
Really, really care? Just reach out to the artist. Ask them to see if they have any process videos uploaded anywhere. Your suspicions could very easily.
Yeah, but why do I have to
in
do
the
that?
DMs.
I'm the
No, but
bystander
actually,
who they want to see their art because they're using social media to get a bigger, grander, and wider audience. So it comes with the territory. You want I always think of all these things in terms of if this was real life. Stop treating everybody, because it's online, everybody's now a child. Unless it's actually a child, but that's also why there's options to choose your age range so that hopefully you are in the right age group. If you're 18 up, then act like a damn adult. But if that person put their artwork on stage, oh yeah, let's say in the equivalent on Twitter, or again, I don't really use Twitter. Let's say it was viewed by 1,000 people, and everybody didn't like it and called it fake and called it AI. No way this person did that themselves. He's calling it bullying. I imagine, let's say you're given the opportunity to go on a stage of 1,000 people, and you came with something that looked like AI art, and everybody went, boo, boo, off the stage, boo, shit sucks. Are they bullying? No, it's just booing. And now, because they're booing, you're boo-hooing. And yeah, so that's why it's the same thing. If I'm in the crowd, I'm allowed to boo. Boo. And then if a host wants to say, hey, come on, guys. I've been an MC before, and they're like, hey, come on, guys. Let's be nice. You know, they put their effort here. There's no fucking, unless Twitter's going to have MCs or moderators like that, then there's not that. But if it's up to the host if they want to consider that ethically wrong or not for the platform sort of thing. But why would I, if I thought this was AI art, come on. I'm going to just comment and say, yeah, I agree. I think this is AI, and have my day. What is this righteous act of, I need to double check with, yeah, it sounds insane. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Obviously there's a reason why we don't do that, but I'm not going to go again. If it's in person, that's the equivalent of me. If instead of booing, how about go to the artist in private and ask them yourself? No, that's weird. I will sit from my stands because they have the public platform and they're being heard by 1,000. I get to be as part of the audience to go, boo, fake. In the same way, people online has the right to say fake, AI art, inauthentic, whatever have you. I personally don't think you should do that, nor do you have to, or nor should anyone tell you that you need to.
Communicating with the artist instead of just going.
But again,
straight
good guy. I
to
just
the
disagree.
Internet and trying to get this person canceled. And the second point, and this is more so for the art community, for the art babies, for the people who see this kind of stuff happening and get very scared of it. I've got this one trick That is absolutely amazing. That'll shut anybody up who tries to call you out on this stuff. Okay, just record your process. I personally screen record almost all of my drawings and I upload them to my Patreon so people have access to them.
Yeah, just record your process. Why couldn't that person show their recorded process and be done with it? Probably because it might have been AI. If they have to delete their account, that shows a lot more that you're guilty. So Twitter mod sounds. So many people called my mouse hold vid hacked. It was wild. Yeah, and people will be misunderstanding, but I like what one professor said of mine. Don't have to share too much of her life, but basically she was accused of certain things in her life, and then eventually all the haters went away, and the key to that is consistency. If you're constantly putting out art and showing your process, people, it makes it so people can't, or there's a less ability or it's in terms of credibility. If you have one post that looks fake in AI, keep posting if it really is an AI and show your process. And eventually you will have the crowd on your side because you have what? You have receipts. You have consistency. The truth will stand. But if you immediately back off and run away and delete your account, maybe it's because you don't have things to back yourself up. In the same way, he said, I love how he's saying, oh, if you want to prevent this sort of thing, why don't you just do that? Yeah, you're kind of you're almost defending the person who went away, but I think it's almost more the fact that they didn't do this again shows that they're guilty.
Them and they can see them being painted from
And
start
has
to finish.
and why should we have sympathy
And if you don't
sympathy
want to
for
record every
them at
single
all?
painting, that's perfectly fine. Just record a few here and there so that you have this thing that you can just bring.
Oh, and they deleted their account, which only had one artwork that looked like AI. As if that's the end of the world. You know what they're going to do if it was AI? They're going to just make a new account and do better with AI. Yeah, that's kind of sad. Exactly. He's treating it, it's sad. This artist had to take off their AI. But he also said he couldn't find any other works of them except for one that was allegedly their art. In other words, there wasn't other examples of that art. So, again, leads me more to believe the weight of the evidence is more on the side that it is most likely AI. if it is AI, then they're just going to make a new account. It's not like, oh, my account's gone. You know how many times you can make a new email and make a new account? I have an account on Twitch. I have an account on Instagram. I have an account on YouTube. I have the lore account on TikTok. I'm getting all the T's mixed up. I have the lore account on TikTok. I have my Lord Drowzzy on TikTok. I am here as TheLazyTheologian here on Twitter. It's not a big deal. If you have one, it's even better that they have one piece of art on there, because then they could just start again, start anew. Again, leading to the more probable reason that they left or deleted their account is probably because it was AI. And the fact that everybody's boohooing is probably, fueling them to just keep doing it. They just need to get away with it better. You can't always trust people. If this was an account that had multiple works of art and they find it out to be AI, there's a lot of different factors there, because one, they don't want to delete the account because they've amassed an audience. So I think I've seen cases where they apologize that it's AI art, but keep the account up and then start working to make it look less AI, or actually try to not do AI art. Or they just they made probably a massive accounts and just delete that one and work on the other one. And so, yeah, it is sus. And I would not defend them or spend the time to defend them.
It's an instant shut your mouth card, and it works brilliantly. And
yeah, it does. That's why I said there's a reason probably why they don't do that.
They feel like somebody is watching them. There's a lot of added pressure. So if you're one of those people, don't worry. You can also just screenshot your process. Take some screenshots of the sketch.
Oh, and yeah, if you're not confident in your art, then why are you posting it out for the public to see?
Sketches, take some screenshots of your color blocking, and then take some screenshots at
and there's ways to edit it so you don't show the law. Here, I'll be honest. Some of my time lapses, because I'm going to be posting time lapses of my sketches and finished stickers. showing the entire process of the drawing to the printing to the real life sticker in person and how it all turned out, showing me do all that kind of stuff. But when I do the time lapse, sometimes because I don't want it to be a straight line, I want it to be for example, in my recent Yu-Gi-Oh tarot one, like tarot card art looks cool to me when the lines look jagged, but so that means you have to make a straight line but make it jagged. So there, if I were to show that in the video, there's going to be a point where it's just like over and over and over again of a series of bad straight lines. So when I'm editing, I'll probably just skip to the right straight line. So one, takes less time and shows a little bit less mistakes. So yeah, you could easily do that, and that's your responsibility to do that. Or if I think it's funny to show all those mistakes, then I'll leave it in there. What's up, Harley?
Give you any crap for this, and I'm really glad this post got
Yeah,
much
so
attention because
that's why I think it's ironic he's saying this, because that's exactly what the person could have done, is just it's not even giving a tip. It's just about transparency as an artist, is to show your process, and I think that's common sense, right? And so this whole thing, he's talking about don't bully them, don't criticize them, don't call them out, but they could have also just done this very, as you said, very simple thing to do. Jaden came back after 30 minutes of inactivity to tell this.
Probably think twice before they do something like this again.
See,
before they assume
Harley,
someone's guilty before
case in point, Jaden's telling Harley to leave. He's 12 years old. Every time Harley pops on, a 12-year-old, into one of my streams, everybody says Harley leave. But he's 12 years old. Is that bullying? I don't know. It's up to you. But I don't care if Harley's here. I'm happy that he's here. I'm happy anyone's here.
Guilty.
But I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, Jaden, stop. That's bullying." I don't think it's bullying, but I think it's funny.
Protect yourself and truly just be honest. You know, if you
I just think it's funny that when people do that to Harley. But
personally, I might be a little bit.
Harley's not my responsibility, but and it's not my responsibility to tell people what to do. I'm also a viewer of that going on.
Now, the third point that I want to make about this whole situation is that the cancel culture that exists in the art community is stupid. And I'm talking to everybody, okay? Anybody who's ever tried to cancel an independent artist for drawing something that they don't agree with, you can go and shove my slipper up your butt. Now, this person here made a post addressing the whole situation, and there's some very...
Who's this nerd?
I'm not going to read that. This piece of poop accused an actual artist of using AI simply because the person didn't know who they were. And it was too good, but also not at all. This loser who feels the need to police art led to that person deleting their account. Who are you sorry to, you scumbag? You aren't sorry at all. You revel in your poopy little cancel culture, and you, along with people like you, love to harass artists. This has happened for far too long. Artists draw the wrong thing, the wrong ship, and now they get to accuse them of AI art. The wording here is a bit too harsh for my taste, but you get the point. She addresses this cancel culture problem in the art community really, really well. And even though this situation is related to an artist using AI, I think it extends way beyond that. If you're a new artist, you just want to share your stuff online, you should not be afraid of drawing the wrong thing. And
I think people are so quick to jump at the haters and criticizers. And I think this is something that's shifted with internet culture in general. My approach is, there's gonna be hate, but if you believe in what you're doing, then grow up here. Then stand on your shit. Be honest. For example, when I first started doing art, I had a lot. I was thankful that I had some other friends who were in graphic design and who were also artists in different fields, and showed them my stuff, showed them the art and what they thought about it on first impression. You know what all my friends did, and all the people I showed did when I first started getting back into art? They critiqued me. I'm not going to be like, oh, they're so negative, they don't understand my vision, they don't, I'm just trying. No, you know what? How I take it is, I'm like, thank you for the criticism. No, that's really helpful. And I mean that. Because the only way, an example I used in sermons is the way refining works. For example, whenever you go to the beach and there's smooth stones on the ground, they didn't come smooth. They didn't come that way. They weren't, originally smooth like that. The reason why they're smooth is because two jagged rocks kept, or multiple jagged rocks kept hitting each other over time until it was a polished rock. Even polishing takes one jagged thing against another misshapen jagged thing and then sands it down. When you sand it, there's a reason why you use fine grit or certain grit to make something like wood or something like that soft, or make something like that more polished and refined, is because you need something jagged, you need something like that to grow. In the same way, stairs are jagged. You need difficulty to rise. You need if we didn't have stairs that were like this and stairs that were a straight line, it's actually more difficult to move upward. John's the only guy I've ever known to be thankful for someone talking shit about him. Yeah, exactly. Because again, you have to a sign of adulthood. This leads me more to believe most people on the internet are babies and children, is because a sign of adulthood is to believe in yourself and what you're saying. Is I know when I'm talking about something that I'm right. And I'm not saying that I'm always right, but I'm confident that when I'm right, I can back it up, and I am willing to have a discussion about it. And as well as when I'm wrong, I'm also quick to go, no, that's true. Me and Matt argue all the time. Me and my wife argue all the time. Me and my friends argue all the time. Is it uncivil? No. It's because that's a natural part of being an adult, being mature, is to, when you have ideas, it's going to run up to other ideas. And so if I express my ideas, I'm only going to have a better idea or stronger idea the more I share those ideas with people of opposing or different opinions, because now it has gone through the sifting process. So when I talk about things I believe in, I'm not saying it because I just thought about it on the toilet or in the shower the other day. And if anything, if I did do that, I'm going to preface that and say, so I had this thought yesterday. What do you guys think? And you guys know me to probably do something like that, because I think that should be your kind of your culture, your personal culture. But if I say something and someone disagrees and I think they're right, I'm not going to fight on it, because I'm also trying to better myself. So when I they are the best thoughts, because you're almost getting raw thoughts, but they become refined thoughts. Your toilet and shower thoughts become refined thoughts once you talk to people who are different than you. So I'm saying, instead of focusing on the people who are haters or criticizers, which will never end and has always been a thing of all time, and like I said, in person, that just comes with the territory. It should be no different than social media. We should encourage people to be more, have more stronger girth, more stronger will, which is what we used to do. Is someone who is strong-willed is not immediately deterred by a few haters. And if you're immediately deterred by a few haters, maybe you don't believe in the it's probably the wrong word to use. But if you're immediately deterred by a few haters, then you've proven to yourself that you also don't believe in what you're doing. Like I said, when I first got back into art this year and drawing and animation, my friend introduced me to this other guy who's been in graphic design for years, and even though I worked so hard on a certain design, he immediately said, "Oh, I really like it and like what you went for, but if you care for my opinion, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way." And I mean, the moment he started talking like that, and the moment people started talking about that, I immediately said to him, "You don't need to do that with me, bro. I welcome the criticism. I want the criticism. Why?" And I told him, and the reason why is because that's the fastest way for me to grow. Is the more criticism I'm gonna get when I'm learning, the more I know what to avoid and what to look out for. I'll be transparent. The Mario Luigi design, it's due to my friend, my friend's friend who was a graphic designer, giving me criticism that became better than it originally was. He said, you should have a couple things when you're looking at art is your first impression of it. When you look at it, what is recognizable to you? What is the focus? What is the star of the show? If or is this a collage, or what am I looking at? And then a second thing is, even if you want text to be abstract or behind certain things, do you want it to be legible? Ask yourself that. Do you want it to be legible? In other words, people are able to read that it's Mario, so it's even more recognizable, or is it just there for texture? And that's more personal to you as an artist, and you have to ask yourself those inner questions. And I asked myself, I do want it to be more recognizable and not just texture. But let's say I was somebody else, and it's just there for texture. Then all good, all good. That's what you want. If you like it, you like it. But it doesn't mean other people are gonna like it. What was that here? I missed a couple things. Yeah, let me know when you hit 5 mil, bro. Talking to me. Thank you. But why give criticism to someone else's art when it's all subjective? Unless there's a technique you're trying to learn, then that's. Oh, I'm not saying I would go around criticizing people's art. I have the personal ethic that I only give criticism to people who want it. For example, if people are asking me for advice, they're either actively seeking me out for advice, or if it's a friend of mine and they're venting to me. If someone has ever vented to you, they're just spilling out their immediate feelings and thoughts, but you're sitting there listening to it. I have no problem with that if it's a homie, but they also, if they're my homie, probably know I'm thinking some things. And so what I typically say, and I've said this before, is do you like, I'm here for you. Damn dude, that sucks. If you want my opinion, you can have it. But if you just want me to be here as like a listening board, I'm also here for that. I'm just here for you. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. And I always make that distinction. It's almost like NPC. I give people options because it's I chose to listen to their problems, but I want to give them the choice to hear my critique and my criticism. If a buddy of mine is complaining about his problems with his girlfriend, yes, I agreed to listen to his problems, but I also want to give them the option to agree to my personal opinions on the matter. And if they're my friend, they probably know I probably think they're in the wrong. If that makes sense. You're also mostly alone in those situations. Type B, John said so. You're also mostly alone in those situations, and do something routinely so your mind opens up easily. My take, at least. Yeah, it's like contemplation. It's like reflection, right? Your best thoughts are when it's like Smash or playing any video game. Is if you grind for hours, you'll kind of go into a routine and stagnate. Just like in life, if you do something over and over again, it feels monotonous, it feels routine. It's not till you're alone with yourself and you have time to reflect. For example, watch your own VODs, you'll realize, damn, I'm making a lot of choices, aren't I? You're looking at yourself from an outside perspective, which, shocking that when you listen to opinions from an outside perception, even yourself looking at yourself from an outside perspective, you grow as an individual because you're breaking the mold, you're breaking bad patterns, you're breaking bad behaviors. Did I miss the Pokemon part of this talk? Oh yeah, you did. That was the first part. But I think after this, I'm down to play some Smash.
Yeah, suddenly you're just besieged, you're just dogpiled by these people who just want to harass you. The bottom line is, and this applies to everybody, stop policing people's art. Just let people draw what they want, let people draw how they want.
I don't think it's policing though. I think it's people going boo, and that's fine.
Tell the algorithm that you're not interested, you don't want to see anymore, or you can go ahead and block them. You don't need to go out of your way to try to dogpile people and try to harass them.
Who else isn't there for drama? If someone's calling out somebody for, you can't tell me you don't love looking at like drama in comment sections. I can't imagine anyone doesn't. So if I go boo in a comment section and there's 10 other people with me, I don't do that, but if I love to watch it, who doesn't? Nah, who's this guy? Tell me what. That's what I'm saying, is I don't like virtue signaling. If you want my honest opinion on certain ethics, do I think it's a dick move to call someone out for AI art and hate on somebody's thing? No, not necessarily. I think calling out is just calling them out. And if this is indeed AI art, if that original person didn't call them out, there wouldn't be awareness to it. And again, they put themselves on a public platform, so you get what you get. Now, is it excessive if you're going into all their social medias to tell them a bad person? Now, that is exactly what I said. That's why we have the English language. That's why we have language to make a distinction between these things. You are excessive and you are obsessed. But if I were to see this and people were calling it AI art, and if I were to comment, I'd probably give my 2 cents and go, yeah, I think this is probably it mostly the hip. I would probably say something like that. Hip leads me to believe this is AI art. So I don't know, something like that, and that'd be my 2 cents. But if you're going through the effort of invading a community and constantly saying things, then it's up to that community or people to just ban you so you can't comment or whatever. So there's a back and forth in these things. Learning another language for the sole purpose of being able to talk my shit globally. If you can't take criticism, don't put it on my For You page. Yeah, just don't put it publicly. Just keep it. If you are happy, if you are here, to anybody who doesn't like criticism, if you like it, you like it. If you don't take criticism, then don't put it on the internet and just keep it to yourself. What? You like it? And as long as you like it, that's all that matters to you, right? It doesn't matter that people it doesn't get a lot of views or likes, right? It doesn't matter. Oh, you're still on the platform? Oh, you still are posting? Maybe because you want it to get views. And so if it has the potential to get all these views, which everything I said about platforms brings, and especially social media platforms, then suck it up. That's how it comes. As someone who's a public speaker, I have to edit what I had to edit what I say. I have to be careful what I had to say in public because I was a public speaker, and I have to be aware of my audience. You have to be aware of your audience too. That's how the adult world goes. For example, some of the homies in here called me out a while back for saying like all the time. And the context of that is when I was a public speaker, I could never say like because it would hurt my credibility. And because I was younger at the time, it would make the older audience, the 50 plus audience, take me less seriously. And because of that, it made me aware of it. I didn't immediately go, hey, screw off, bro. I'm just trying to, no, I even, I'm not gonna say who, but the people who called me out. Okay, he called himself out, but yeah, Spiky, he knows. I immediately said thank you. I need to work on that sort of thing. Anything that can make me better, whether it is a negative or positive criticism, I always take things because the goal for me is to grow. If your goal is to be liked, then of course you're going to be defensive when people don't like you. I don't mind not being liked. Of course, I would like being liked, but I love criticism in the sense that I'm always trying to grow as an individual. And the people who, I don't think I've barely said like outside of, a proper context due to that criticism. And the context to that was when I was talking with Spiky about it was the fact that because I couldn't say it as a public speaker, when I stopped being a pastor and I could just talk however I like, however I want, I kind of went crazy with saying like all the time. But yeah, and it was constructive criticism, and I said so at the time. But I'm just saying in general, if you're not wanting to take if you're not willing to take criticism, you're also not willing to grow, and that's my problem with that. And a lot of people do, bro. But it is good advice, just in general, just to be aware, because maybe the person isn't aware, and is all your guys' right to critique me, and I'm willing to hear it.